And we're back. You're watching Tennessee Valley This Morning. Dan Howell with my lovely co-host Cheryl Dunson from Santec Environmental, and we're having a good time. Everybody say Santec. You kind of smile.
Santec.
We're having fun during the break. If you only knew what went on during the break. We have, of course, State Representative, as Tom Rowland calls him, Mayor Rowland, Mr. Perfect. He's here. We're glad to have State Representative Kevin Brooks.
Speaking of recycling.
Speaking of recycling.
What an appropriate day.
He never goes away. Kevin is here, and he's also the Assistant Majority Leader in the Tennessee House of Representatives. Got to give him his due. And we're going to talk about a lot of things today. But before we do, we have to wish Bob Galt a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Bob.
Happy birthday, Bob.
Bob Galt is 39 again, much like me.
39.
And holding.
Bob is the Public Information Officer at the Bradley County Sheriff's Office. He and I work together. I enjoy working with Bob. We work together, especially during the tornadoes.
Right.
He and I work together as PIO for the EMA department. How you like all those acronyms? PIO for the EMA and the BCS and all that.
PDQ, ASAP. Yeah.
It's crazy. But happy birthday, Bob. I hope you have fun today. Also, Brittany Benson, a student at Lee University, is having a birthday today.
We are Lee.
And Robin Cummings is having a birthday today. She works
Robin.
at Skyridge Medical Center. She's a Bradley Central High School grad, so we're wishing Robin a happy birthday as well. Got that out of the way. Now let's talk about politics. Politics.
It's early for that. It's awful. What about coffee? Let's talk about coffee.
Well, Kevin's actually going to get to talk politics twice this week.
That's right.
Because he is going to be at my Rotary Club this week. He's our guest speaker. My Rotary Club, Bradley Sunrise Rotary, is having a membership drive, and he is our power speaker.
Power
try
speaker.
to not drive the membership away.
I hope you wear a power tie.
I know, I'm going to have
He's
to
got
recycle.
one on this morning.
Speaking of
folks.
recycling,
This
I'm
is
going to have to
sharp.
recycle this. You may see this
There
twice,
you
Cheryl.
go.
I hope you don't mind.
I may come that morning.
Join us.
I may
I
do
wish
that.
you would.
Skyridge
7 o'clock
at
at
7
Skyridge.
a.m.
7 a.m. Thursday morning.
The
Break-
hospital
coffee
never
is served?
closes.
No.
Coffee is served. I would
Coffee is
assume.
served.
Yes.
It's free to everybody. If
There.
you want a cheap but good breakfast, come.
Yeah.
And a cheap speaker.
He works cheap.
Come on in Thursday morning.
Let's get started and talk about politics. Something that's been on everybody's mind in Bradley and Hamilton County, of course, is Amazon.
Yes.
We had a development recently. We didn't talk about it a lot here on the air. But
Oh, I wish we could.
But see, we were
Yeah.
saving it for you.
Thank you,
We were
Dan.
saving it for you.
Very grateful.
Big development with Amazon. The governor was involved. So bring us up to date.
We are thrilled. Representative Watson, Amazon will actually fall in Representative Watson's district.
Yeah.
And we are thrilled that so many thousands of jobs are coming our way. There was some things that we had to work out.
Yeah.
The former administration signed a deal, and we thought everything was fine. We had some folks that said, you know, there's just a little bit of an unfair tax advantage under the old deal. Let's revisit that. Senator Bunch, I took his place in the House, and he moved on to the Senate, now has moved on to be a judge. And he said, Kevin, we spend 50% of our time passing legislation. We spend the other 50% of our time fixing what we just did. And it's very true. We go back and we revisit and tweak workers' comp, for instance. Did a lot of changes on that. We had to go back, and we're going to have to go back in January. And the compromise is that we'll wait a couple of years, 2 years, 2014, before we start asking them to pay taxes. Number one, they'll be up and running, generating a tremendous amount of revenue for their company. In addition to that, we're going to start generating a lot of things around here. Employees that come, buy houses and buy cars, and their kids go to school and they buy backpacks. So we're going to have we believe, a tremendous influx here locally. So those two things combined, in 2014, we're going to say, will you now join us, like all the other corporations, and pay your fair share, and they have agreed to do that.
Now, let me just clarify for my benefit. Are they paying the tax, or are they collecting the sales tax?
That's correct. They're going to collect and then pay the state.
Pay the state.
It's
They're the
a
collection point for the sales tax on the product that they
and
sell.
And that was the dispute.
Yes.
Do they have a nexus? It's a fancy word for, do they have a place in Tennessee where they generate? The original agreement said, this is simply a pass-through. It's a warehouse. It's where a box comes in one door and a box goes out the other door, and there's no cash register.
Right.
The actual place that you call and place that order on Amazon, or when you go online and place the order on Amazon, that transaction is done up north, New Jersey, Delaware, not done in Tennessee, but they have agreed.
Yeah.
We're going to pay our fair share.
Well, I think the governor, from what I've read about it, from what you said, his staff did an excellent job. He and his staff did an excellent job in negotiating this, because in other areas, other states where Amazon's been told you will collect the tax, they just took their nickel out and left.
They did, and we're very grateful. You know, a lot of this discussion begins around the word tax, and then you heard that word nexus. I kept going back to the word integrity. We said we were going to offer them a deal.
Yeah.
Let's stick to the deal. I'm so thankful that Governor Haslam, to his credit, from day one said, we're going to stick to a deal. We're going to fine tune it, but we're not going to say no. We're not going to say take your stuff and go home, because it's thousands of jobs in Bradley County, thousands of jobs in Hamilton County.
Oh, yeah.
Now there's going to be 2 additional Amazon sites in our state. One in Middle and one here in the east.
That was a part of the governor's negotiation, wasn't it?
That's
they
correct.
actually created more jobs
They are creating,
in the compromise.
It is now 3,500 jobs and $350 million incoming to the state. It's just the kind of thing you can't say no when you have that many families, and that's the way I look at it.
And when your unemployment's at 9%,
9%.
you need the job.
Yeah, and these are families. This is the Howell family and the Dunson family and the Brooks family. These families are going to be tremendously affected right here at the holidays. They want to be up and running and have boxes going out those doors by Christmas.
Yeah, they're just about ready to start doing that now, I understand. And
I was just
at
a local establishment last week, and there were hundreds of Amazon T-shirt trainees ready to go to work, and I thanked every one of them. I tried to go around the room and thank every one of them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And of course, the key, and everyone I talked to, and I think Governor Haslam has said this, and Amazon officials have said this, that the key to this tax dispute is what they call a national solution.
That's correct.
Up until now, each state has set its own regulations and said, yes, you will or you will not pay, collect the sales tax. But I think maybe Amazon knew that there was going to be a national solution. Maybe that's why they came to the table and said, we'll do this in 2014.
We are encouraging our federal representatives, Congressman Fleischman, Senators Corker and Alexander. This is a national matter. This should not be a state's issue. Streamlined sales tax is what it's called, or a federal national tax. And it really does need to be addressed in Washington, and we are hoping for a good outcome. No matter what that outcome is, we have ours as a backup, as a fail-safe. Amazon's coming, jobs are coming, get ready.
Yeah. Well, of course, the collection of the sales tax will have a direct impact on the state budget, and even, I guess, the local budgets, for local and city,
both
county and city, because we get a little bit of that pie. But the budget in the state of Tennessee is greatly dependent upon the dollars from the federal government. I think, what, 40%?
That's correct.
Something like that?
And we have a tremendous pass-through, is what we call it.
Yeah. So the governor in this past year, I think, has already trimmed the budget by $1 billion?
$1 billion.
$1 billion. Wow.
Wow.
What's that looking like next, when you go back in session in January, February? What's that looking like next year when the federal government says, well, we may not have 40% to give you? What's that going to be like?
You said loaded question in the last segment. What did you put in Dan's coffee this morning?
Oh, a little truth serum.
A little truth serum. It's Santex serum. We are going to have some cuts.
Yeah.
I mean, no laughing matter. We are going to continue the process. Dan, I don't make the slightest hesitation in saying I'm a less government, less tax Republican.
Yeah, I do.
And so we want to cut the size of our budget.
Yeah.
We are here now in the off season. Your tax dollars are safe. Your companies are safe. We can't do anything to mess anything up until we go back in January.
Right.
When we go back, we're going to have to address the Amazon. We're going to have to change the legislation that we passed last session. We are going to have to continue finding areas to cut. I have heard that it could be another $1 billion.
Wow, that's significant.
What
is the total budget? I need to ask that too.
It's $24 billion.
$24 billion.
Yeah,
so you take $1 billion out of that. Somebody's going to feel it somewhere.
Well, and you know, again, I was with Governor Haslam this weekend, and it's amazing this business CEO approach that he's taken, really top to bottom. They've visited every department of the state.
Oh.
And he told us last week how surprised employees were when the governor walked in. He met employees, the governor did, with 20 and 25 years service with the state, and they said, we've never had the governor walk in our office before.
Oh my.
That's the kind of governor he is. He walks in the door, hi, my name is Bill, and what do you do? And tell me about your department. And they're taking very significant steps to say, are you duplicated? Are you necessary? Are there things that we can do? Again, top to bottom, and it's working.
Oh yeah.
I'm getting surveys. I do serve on the finance. We do vote on the budget, and I'm getting surveys from commissioners. Tell us what you like about our departments. Tell us what you think we need to improve upon and change. We never got that before. So the whole team is focused on getting streamlined, getting ready. We know those cuts are continuing. The federal money is dropping. The stimulus money is gone. That was sort of a temporary Band-Aid. Now we've cut the fat. Now we're getting to the muscle and the bone.
And to add to what Kevin said, if you're a business and you do business with a governmental agency on the state level, we were actually polled. We were actually given the survey. And because of, like Santec, we deal with the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, and we deal a lot with them. And so we were actually encouraged by the governor to say, how do you feel about this department, and where are its weaknesses and where are its strengths?
I'm hoping I like your answer, but had you had that in years past?
No, never.
So that was a new?
No, that brand new initiative. Yeah.
See, and we didn't even
What
talk
a
before
novel
the show.
concept.
Yeah.
Government
I
finding
think
out
it was
from its
called like
vendors.
Think about it.
Yeah.
And the tag on it was something like from top to bottom or something. That's how it, we want to know everything, and we want to know how you feel about our governmental agencies.
Government for the people, by the people.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like that he is intent on eliminating duplication.
Truly.
And of course, I'm a believer that there is some duplication in
even
state,
local,
federal, especially federal government.
There really is. There really is. You're right.
And anytime you can eliminate the duplication, you save money.
Right.
So that sounds like he's really taking an interesting approach. And he did the same thing as mayor in Knoxville.
Sure.
And
we were encouraged by that. We sort of saw that coming when he was mayor of Knoxville. He walked around buildings and said, do we need this? If we don't, let's sell it. And we hope he does that around Nashville. There's many towers and many different buildings and parking garages and things. Let's streamline government. Let's make this the best we possibly can. We work for you. And if we can improve your return on your investment of your tax dollars, let's do that. Let's get that back from the state, back locally. Sidewalks and roads and parks and bridges. Let's do that.
Yeah. We're talking to State Representative Kevin Brooks, who represents Cleveland and a little bit of Bradley County, just outside the city limits, I believe, but primarily the city of Cleveland. And how long have you been in the?
2006.
2006, so you've been there a while. Long enough to find a parking place.
I do have a parking space. I'm very thankful for that. It's one of the most wonderful things in downtown Nashville is to have a parking space.
We have to take a break, so please stay with us. You're watching the Tennessee Valley This Morning.
I'm Kathy Guy with Landmark Insurance Brokerage. Call us today for all your personal insurance needs. With 28 years in the insurance business, I have the solutions and pricing you are looking for. At Landmark Insurance Brokerage, we've got you covered.
Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland, is your #1 Dodge, Chrysler, and Jeep dealer in this area. Stop by and see the brand new 2011 Chrysler 200. The 200 is essentially a new nameplate with a significant facelift to the outgoing 2010 Chrysler Sebring. A beautiful vehicle at an unbeatable price. And while you're there, check out the all-new Jeep Grand Cherokee and the newly designed Dodge Durango. Redesigned, revamped, and reinvigorated. Yes, the Dodge Dodge Durango is back, bigger and better than ever. Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep offers a complete parts and service department with qualified service technicians to fix and repair your vehicle. So for your next brand new or pre-owned vehicle, make it Kyle Dodge Chrysler Jeep, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland.
I'm Dr. James Markham, host of the television program Heart of Health, seen right here on WTNB television, Thursday at 7 o'clock, Friday at 8 a.m., or Sunday at 3:30 p.m.
How would you like to look and feel better? If so, then visit the Ford Center for Anti-Aging, located at 2020 Key Street Northwest. Dr. Ford has been serving Cleveland and the surrounding area since 1984. He is a licensed physician with the Board of Anti-Aging Medicine, offering affordable Botox injections. Botox is a medication that is used to treat dynamic wrinkles such as crow's feet, forehead lines, and frown lines. In addition to Botox therapy, rejuvenate and smooth wrinkled skin. The micro-laser peel treats skin conditions associated with aging and active lifestyles. If you're looking for safe and affordable anti-aging treatment, call the Ford Center for Anti-Aging at 423-614-0535, located at 2020 Key Street Northwest.
And we're back. You're watching the Tennessee Valley this morning. We are having a good time this morning visiting with Kevin Brooks, who is state representative for the city of Cleveland and also assistant majority leader in the House of Representatives in Nashville. I've got to ask, what's that mean? What do you do?
You're the assistant to the majority leader. That's what you
describe your duties.
So I get Gerald coffee.
Do you bring coffee? Or?
Whatever it takes. Gerald McCormick, Leader McCormick, right next door in Ooltewah, Chattanooga.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, it's a great little segue there. Never had this much leadership in East Tennessee. So we've got the governor from East Tennessee, we've got the majority leader from East Tennessee, the assistant majority leader, the floor leader, Vince Dean from Eastridge. So
and
here,
the deputy governor.
Deputy governor, cannot forget.
Claude Ramsey.
Cannot forget Governor Ramsey. And
yeah.
We're very, very fortunate to have Southeast Tennessee so well represented.
Wow,
I have lots of friends, and I think you're seeing the result of what that can mean. But the assistant majority leader, you are elected by your peers, so I was thrilled that my colleagues asked me to serve in leadership. I work closely with the governor's office, bringing us, the caucus, their legislative package. And you know, you want to always make sure that the caucus and the executive branch, the governor's office, and the commissioners in the departments that we're communicating effectively and really making sure we're all on the same page.
Yeah, and that's important, especially if we want to get the legislation passed.
Very important.
You don't want any last-minute glitches. We talked about the budget and how the state may be impacted in the coming legislative cycle. Looking for some potential cuts from the federal government, which will pass through to cuts to the state. Historically, and I'm sure you hear this a lot, Kevin, local leaders complain about unfunded mandates. Started with the federal level, and it's been passed down to the states, and it seems like the states pass it on down to the local governments. Are we going to see any of that with these proposed or prospective budget cuts? Do you think there's a possibility of seeing some things like that?
You know, Dan, we do very much try not to have any unfunded mandates. As a matter of fact, there was legislation passed that would forbid unfunded mandates because it is very, very difficult for those of us in Nashville to make a vote that cost my neighbors money. It's not something we want to do. Now, you've mentioned federal cuts. We just received a memo here during the off-season at my offices here in Cleveland that the federal transportation monies were being rescinded. That's unfortunate that in Washington they can say, here's some money to build roads and bridges, and oh, by the way, we're taking that money back.
Oh, yeah.
And it unfortunately happens, and it was many, many millions of dollars.
Sure.
The very first thing we did, this is not going to sound like what Jesus would do, but I called to make sure it wasn't going to affect our local infrastructure. Exit 33, where the new industries are going in. Exit 20, the Dalton Pike, and fortunately, all projects that are currently underway not shovel ready, we heard that word too much, but current projects that are in the mix right now are not going to be affected. This was going to affect new projects. Things they have not begun yet will be affected. But yeah, we try not to do these unfunded mandates. We try to keep our head above water. What we've got to do, Dan, is to try to get to a place where we are less dependent upon these federal dollars.
You're right.
We've got to get to a place where we can do what needs to be done for the families and neighbors here in Cleveland that A, won't be an unfunded mandate to their tax dollars or their pocketbooks, and also won't make us so reliant upon these federal dollars from Washington. There was a day where we weren't so dependent, and we've got to get back to that.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like in recent history, the federal dollars can be used, for lack of a better term, like a club. You know, if you want these dollars, you will do this.
And that's the same with education, our education funding. That's the same with our road funding. If you don't wear seatbelts, we're not going to fund you. If you don't wear motorcycle helmets, we're not going to fund you. There's all these different steps that you've got to take or hoops you have to jump through to get that money. We need less hoops.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned education. Let's talk about that. I know that's something close to your heart, and you have, as I do, many educators who are friends.
That's right.
And they were, let's face it, impacted during this last legislative session.
They were.
And as you go back into session after the first of the year...
Did I bring up education? Did he bring up?
You mentioned the word in passing, and I grabbed onto it.
You snagged it. And that's what a great interviewer does.
I snagged it. I tell you, I did.
No, and I'm thrilled to talk about it because it is something we got to talk about.
Yeah.
Teachers are our friends. They are our colleagues. And the thought or the intent that we did not support our teachers or wanted to make it difficult on our teachers, it couldn't be anything further from the truth. What we wanted to do was reach the criteria, again, jump through those hoops to get to the race to the top dollars. This all started well before Governor Haslam, back in the Bredesen administration. They said, hey, if you do ABC, 1, 2, 3, we're going to give you $500 million.
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. It's a lot of classrooms. That's a lot of Promethean boards. That's a lot of infrastructure. And so we said, what steps do we have to take to get that money? We turned it over to a committee. Mistake number one. It was not a legislative decision. It was a committee decision. And Dan, I'm going to look right here. It was a committee decision. And we said, take this and make it as good as we possibly can. Evaluation was a piece of it, tenure was a piece of it, classroom instruction was a piece of it. We've got to go back and address that. We've got to go back and retweak what we did in education. I do think evaluation and tenure is going to remain a part of it, but we've got to go back in January and make it less onerous, make it less of a problem. We don't want to be part of the problem. We want to be part of the solution. Do we want better schools? Do we want the best teaching environment for my kids who are in Cleveland City Schools? Do we want it to be absolutely the best it can be? Yes. Amazon, that you just mentioned, and Wacker and Volkswagen, they are looking for training that we don't even have yet.
I know.
They are looking for the kind of engineering and scientifically trained students for the next generation of Tennessee workforce. And we've got to get ready for that. And we believe that we can. What we've got to do is take the work of this committee, this rubric, that so many people were, that I had never seen. Now think about that. A member of education, a member of finance, and it wasn't until I got home and some teachers who were my dear friends said, you need to take a look at this rubric of what they're asking us to do. When I was given a copy, I immediately took that to Nashville and said, we have got to address this, and we're going to address it early. I saw the chairman of education this weekend, and he said, Kevin, in January, this will be addressed. We're here, again, to partner with our teachers, lock arms with our educators, with our principals, and it's good to hear from them. It's good to hear from these classroom practitioners, not theorists,
What are some of the issues that the educators have with what was passed?
You know, again, there was a tremendous amount done so quickly. Mm-hmm. I think if we just step back and take a breath, mm-hmm. Possibly give some time out. You hear that in the classroom. Mm-hmm. Dan, we're going to put you in timeout. Yeah. I think we need to give some folks some time out to just say, let's take a look at these evaluation measures that we've taken. Let's take a look at some of this tenure, and then let's say, okay, what can we do? Think about the Amazon. Let's take until 2014 mm-hmm. to see how your tax collection is handled. Mm-hmm. What if we take some time in the legislature, give some time to the classroom teachers, to the principals, and say, let's look at the evaluation piece, mm-hmm. but let's don't hold it against anybody mm-hmm. until we make sure we're doing the right thing. Yeah. We passed a tremendous amount of reform very quickly. Mm-hmm. It was like reform plus, mm-hmm. and possibly we need to take some time to make sure we didn't go too far too fast. Mm-hmm.
And to add to what Kevin is saying, I heard from a local educator just recently about the evaluation mm-hmm. process, and this person told me it was wearing mm-hmm. them out, that all of their time was devoted now to evaluating teachers in the classroom, and they have no time for anything else.
It's like those unfunded mandates. We mm-hmm. don't want to do anything, and there was never an intent mm-hmm. for us to damage the classroom, mm-hmm. for us to put undue burden on the classroom. Mm-hmm. I have a daughter that sits every day in a Cleveland High School classroom. I don't want to diminish her education. Mm-hmm. What I want to do is enhance it. You get these enhancement grants, you know what that word means.
Sure.
We wanted this $500 million to be an enhancement grant. Mm-hmm. What we've done quite possibly is put an unfunded mandate on the time mm-hmm. and the commitment that it takes to do these evaluations, and we did look at that piece again, and I've said it publicly and privately and now on television. I'm committed to revisiting it as many times as it takes to make it right.
Mm-hmm. We're about out of time, but I wanted to touch on the rating, the Moody's and S&P rating for the state of Tennessee. I read just this weekend, of course, as we know, the federal government was downgraded, first time in history. I understand that Governor Haslam, his staff, has been working with Moody's, S&P, mm-hmm. and Tennessee is going to maintain its top-notch rating. That's incredible.
Maintaining the AAA rating. You know, if you lose your rating, it makes you moody. So we are very... No, that's free. That was free, by the way.
No charge for that one.
Keep your day job. I know what you're saying. But truly, in this economy that we're in, for them to travel to New York, first of all, the governor to take the time, constitutional officers, Secretary of State, Comptroller, the Treasurer, who has Cleveland roots, David Lillard, traveled to New York to plead our case mm-hmm. and say, just because everyone else is doing badly, Tennessee is a good manager of our money. We've always had a great cash to debt ratio, better than any state in the Southeast. Please don't throw us out with the bathwater. Mm-hmm. And we kept our rating and are one of the few areas in the South that is doing extremely well financially. Now that is a great indicator and a great help. You may have also read this week the largest bond sale in the history of our state. Fantastic revenue generator for our state, the sale of these bonds to help Vacher, to help Amazon, to help all these different industries that we're bringing here. Again, we have to pay for the incentives somehow that we offer to these companies. We sold the bonds, one of the biggest sales of ever of state bonds, based on our improved bond rating.
Bond rating,
we are a good investment, and we want that word to get out.
And the state of Tennessee, I understand, is like in the top 3 of states nationwide as far as the good credit rating that we have.
And it's so
good.
That
means that we're well managed.
So good to be on the top of that list.
Yeah, it certainly is. Kevin, it's always good to see you. I've just been given the signal that we're about out of time, so I've got time to wrap it up.
One of those signals.
And I'm really thrilled that you come in. It's always fun, and even if we did recycle you, we're glad to have you in today.
I'm glad Santec's here.
Santec's here.
Right to the landfill.
But no, it's good to have a state representative willing to come in and face the questions and talk to the people that he works for, and let them know what's going on in Nashville and what you're doing for us. And we appreciate you coming in today.
Thanks, Professor.
We're out of time. Got to run. And I hope you have a great day. Be back